If someone offered you the chance to travel 30,000 years into the past for just one day, most people would probably say yes. Vast landscapes, giant mammoths, no office work, no bills, no traffic jams. It almost sounds like the perfect vacation. There is just one problem. You would most likely be dead within a few days. And not because a saber-toothed predator found you first. You probably wouldn't even survive long enough to meet one. The greatest enemy of Stone Age people was everyday life itself. Every morning began not with, "What should I watch tonight?" but with a far more important question: will I survive this day? The fascinating part is that archaeologists now know much more about those lives than most people imagine. Scratches on bones, ancient fireplaces, stone spear points, worn teeth, and food remains have allowed scientists to reconstruct surprisingly detailed pictures of daily life, and the reality is nothing like the movies. We often picture prehistoric people as dirty cave dwellers, carrying huge clubs and chasing mammoths all day. In reality, they understood their environment remarkably well. They crafted specialized tools, planned hunts carefully, and knew exactly which plants healed and which could kill within hours. In other words, they were not stronger than us. They were far more experienced. Before sunrise, a small fire still glows in the center of the camp. It is almost never left unattended. Losing fire means losing warmth, cooked food, and one of the best defenses against predators. A funny thought. Today, some campers proudly post photos saying, "I started a fire without matches." For a Stone Age hunter, that achievement would have been about as impressive as switching on an electric kettle. Here's the surprising part. Many archaeological campsites show evidence that fires were maintained almost continuously, sometimes for months. People protected existing fire instead of making a new one every morning. The camp slowly wakes up. No alarm clocks, no watches, only sunrise, cold air, and habits shaped over countless generations. Most camps contained around 20 to 30 people, not hundreds. Smaller groups found food more easily and placed less pressure on local resources. Every individual mattered. If an experienced hunter became sick, bringing home meat became much harder. If the toolmaker died, the group lost its weapons. If an elderly woman who knew medicinal plants passed away, priceless knowledge disappeared with her. Back then, humanity's entire library existed only inside human minds. Breakfast, as we know it, probably does not exist. No toast, no cereal, definitely no coffee. If meat remained from a successful hunt, people ate it. Otherwise, they had to earn breakfast first. For years, researchers believed prehistoric people constantly lived on the edge of starvation. Modern evidence paints a more balanced picture. Successful hunts often provided enough food for several days. The real danger came when game disappeared or the weather suddenly changed. That is why every hunter carefully inspected equipment before leaving. The spear point had to be secure. The wooden shaft could not have cracks. The stone knife had to remain within easy reach. Some spear points discovered by archaeologists are crafted so precisely that modern flint knappers spend hours trying to reproduce them, without metal tools, using only stone, bone, wood, and extraordinary patience. Soon, the camp becomes busy. Women prepare baskets for edible plants. Teenagers carry smaller spears. Experienced hunters quietly study the wind. Not because they admire the sunrise, because the wind decides whether today's hunt succeeds. If human scent reaches a herd too early, the animals disappear in seconds. Hours of preparation can vanish because of one careless step. Hunting was much closer to a game of chess than a wild chase, and this is only the beginning of the day. Ahead lie long walks, dangerous predators, difficult decisions, and the challenge that will determine whether everyone gathers around a warm meal tonight or goes to sleep hungry once again. The hunters leave camp before the sun fully rises. The most experienced walk in front. They speak very little, not because they are unfriendly, but because unnecessary noise can scare away prey. Think tracking animals sounds boring? Try following barely visible hoof prints through snow for hours while figuring out where an animal turned. Modern survival games suddenly seem much easier. Here comes another surprise. Archaeologists believe experienced hunters could estimate an animal's age, weight, speed, and even how long ago it had passed simply by studying its tracks. To us, that feels like a superpower. To them, it was an ordinary skill. After several hours, the group spots a herd of reindeer. This is not luck. Hunters already know where herds cross rivers, rest, and travel every season. They spent their entire lives learning the landscape. Sometimes they watched animal movements for days before attempting a hunt. Failure carried a heavy price. No food today meant even greater effort tomorrow. Movies usually show someone screaming while charging a mammoth. In reality, that plan would probably last about 10 seconds. Large animals were often faster than humans. Even mammoths could move surprisingly quickly. Instead of relying on strength, hunters relied on strategy. They drove animals into deep snow, muddy ground, narrow valleys, or steep slopes where escape became difficult. Their greatest weapon was not the spear. It was the human brain. Then disaster strikes. A young hunter steps on a dry branch. Crack! One sound. The herd instantly raises its heads. Silence. Then they are gone. Hours of careful preparation disappear in seconds. Apparently, ruining everyone's hard work with one small mistake is a tradition older than civilization itself. The experienced hunters do not panic. They simply change direction and keep searching. Patience matters more than speed. Later that day, fortune finally returns. A young reindeer becomes separated from the herd. Several accurate spear throws, the animal falls. To modernize, this may seem harsh. To the people of that time, it means children will eat tonight. Elders will survive. The group will live another few days. Another surprising discovery. Evidence suggests meat was commonly shared among the entire group instead of belonging only to the successful hunter. This was not generosity, it was survival. Today, you succeed. Tomorrow, someone else succeeds. One day, you may depend on them. Without cooperation, small human communities would never have survived. The animal is butchered immediately. This reduces the weight carried home. Almost nothing goes to waste. Bones become tools. Sinew becomes thread. Hides become warm clothing. Large bones sometimes become part of shelters. Humans practiced recycling tens of thousands of years before the word existed. As evening arrives, the hunters return. Children run toward them. The fire burns brighter. Some repair weapons. Some prepare the meat. Others retell the hunt. With every storyteller, the danger somehow becomes slightly greater. Apparently, exaggerating your achievements is another ancient human tradition. Perhaps the greatest surprise comes from archaeology itself. Scientists have found prehistoric skeletons with severe injuries that healed completely. Some people survived broken legs or other major injuries that would have prevented hunting for months. They lived because others cared for them, fed them, protected them, waited for them to recover. This may be humanity's greatest survival advantage. Not speed, not strength, not sharper spears, but cooperation. When one person fell, the others did not leave. Perhaps that simple habit, helping one another around an ancient campfire, eventually led to cities, oceans crossed by ships, and even journeys into space. So the next time you complain about a slow internet connection after a long workday, remember the hunter who walked for miles, tracked animals for hours, carried heavy meat home on his shoulders, and never imagined such a complaint could one day exist.